A very warm welcome to Business Today. Thank you for joining us for this particular bulletin. I'm Ronah Nahabwe together with Winnie Wiyinza in the sign language interpretation. Before we head right into it, here's a quick look at what made the top stories. In Business Today, Bank of Uganda has maintained the central bank rate at 10%. Government has been cautioned over taxing the employees' salaries. And Tilenga, the major oil project, advances towards the August 2025 first oil target. You're welcome once again to Business Today. It's now time for the news in detail. Now, let's begin with Bank of Uganda's economic report. Now, earlier today, the Deputy Governor of Bank of Uganda, Michael Atig-Igo, presented the monetary policy statement for the month of June 2023, in which inflation is steadily declining and the Monetary Policy Committee decided to maintain the central bank rate at 10%. This occurs at a time when the economy is facing significant challenges due to the high cost of living. Here's a look.
According to UBO's data October 2022 to May 2023, annual headline and core inflation decreased to 6.2% and 5.6% in May 2023 from 8% and 6.8% in April 2023 respectively. Annual inflation for electricity, fuel and utilities eased to 0.9% in May from 2.1% in April 2023, where also food crop inflation decreased to 15.7% from 25.3% in May 2023, as well as inflation for goods, including imported items, declined to 7.4% in May from 8.8% in April 2023. For it's a great deal for inflation to decrease, high cost of living is still a challenge until medium-term objective of 5% inflation that is supportive of economic growth is achieved.
The rate at which prices were rising in October was 10.2%. Now, the rate at which prices are rising in May 2023 is 6.2%. It does not mean to say that prices are coming down per se, but it is the rate at which the prices are increasing that is reducing. So that increase in the prices are still rising, but the rate is coming down. So it is still affecting the cost of living. And that's why we're saying that we need to bring down this inflation to the medium-term objective of 5%, which is supportive of economic growth of about 6 to 7%.
In the basket of the household consumption basket, you can see that there are some clear items whose prices have come down and therefore partly contributing the cost of living. However, on aggregate, we know that the basket, again, the prices have gone up on average, as we said, by 6% in the as of May. But overall, I think there are some, I wanted to amplify that there are some items in the basket that are clearly pointing to the decline, rather than increasing.
In line with Bank of Uganda, economic growth remains uncertain with potential balance risks such as protected weak global growth and lower commodity prices constraining Uganda's export earnings, lower external financing which could restrict government expenditure, and high public debt burden, weakening local currency, limiting government borrowing capacity, and slow foreign investment influence. However, MPC projects economic growth in range of 6 to 6.5% for financial year 2023-2024.
The MPC projects economic growth in the range of 6 to 6.5% for the fiscal year 2023/2024. Economic growth is anticipated to return to its sustainable long-term trend in 2024/2025, bolstered by investments in oil-related infrastructure, the energy sector, transportation, and a recovery in the manufacturing and construction sectors.
The committee's focus on addressing inflation, interest rates, and exchange rate stability demonstrates their commitment to maintaining a robust financial system that benefits businesses and citizens alike. Bronia Katsime, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Away from that, let's look at what's new with the employment taxes. The Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Thomas Tayebwa, has cautioned government over what he calls a high tax on employees' salary, which has kept most of the salary earners in poverty. According to Tayebwa, pay-as-you-earn should be revised to a lesser percentage if the country is advocating for decent employment and productivity of the labor force.
The vast majority of Uganda's labor force remains employed in low productivity activities such as agriculture, and the ones who manage to work for foreign investors continue being exploited since there is no clear law to determine a minimum wage. According to Honorable Tebandeke Charles, for the Ugandan labor force to enjoy the fruits of their labor, Parliament needs to bring forward the minimum wage bill, which has stalled since the 9th Parliament.
We need to get a minimum wage bill in place before Parliament, and it passes, but not labor working under these guys without any rules and clear regulations that are governing up them. I think if it's not done, we are seeing a lot of labor repatriation, we are seeing a lot of exploitation, and we are indirectly exhibiting Ugandans to slavery than there would be job opportunities that are available.
Thank you, sir. While launching the Parliamentary Forum on Labour Decent Employment and Productivity, the Deputy Speaker of Parliament cautioned government over the too much tax on employees' salaries, which has failed their productivity. Tayebwa says if government wasn't overtaxing employees' salary, many Ugandans would be able to create side businesses, which would in turn bring in more revenue for government.
The issue of how much we pay in direct taxes as employees, pay as you earn. I see experts like Ronah repair here. I wonder why Uganda we have the highest rate in the region. Because when you look at Tanzania capped at around, I think Tanzania is capped at 30, even Kenya 30, Rwanda at 30, Uganda we are at 40. So my salary, your salary as an MP, as a member of parliament, which people always think about, is 11 million. Okay? But when you look at our pay slips, you remain with 6.1 million. Oh, 5.5. Me, I'm a deputy speaker.
The Deputy Speaker has also persuaded the Labour Forum members to introduce a measure on migrant labour because Uganda is the second country in East Africa to profit from migrant labour, with over $1.4 billion made in 2022. According to Tayebwa, if there was a clear law in that area, both the government and Ugandan labour force might gain.
We need a law on migration labour, on migrant labour. We need a separate law on migrant labour. And I've seen, of course, we introduced a chapter in the employment bill, but that chapter was not satisfactory. We need a separate law on migrant labour. And the way I saw us struggling with the employment bill, I doubt it will come from government. So this forum, this is your assignment. If you go with the Chankwanzi resolution that you don't want private members' bills, that's also your option. But if, to me, you are playing a very critical role, the role of migrant labor is very important. When you look at how much we earn from our people in diaspora, we are the second in the region. In 2022, Uganda earned $1.14 billion.
According to delegates from the United Nations, migrant workers benefit societies in their countries of origin as well as the countries of destination, but oftentimes they are neglected and don't live decent lives. These have cautioned legislators to legislate towards bettering up the lives of the labor force, which is contributing to the country's GDP.
The practical experience to go somewhere to see in the sum of the country how our labor forces are staying, this is very painful. That's not decent at all. We don't want such things. However, we cannot outlook the countless barriers and injustices that continue to undermine the dignity and well-being of workers, especially migrant workers. I emphasize it again. We must strive to protect the rights of the migrant workers, ensuring their fair treatment, social inclusion, and access to the essential services. By doing so, we can harness the potentials of the migrations as a force for development and contribute to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals.
Is a priority for Belgium. It's one pillar of the Belgian law on development cooperation, but it's also one of the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations Agenda 2030, to which both Uganda and Belgium have committed themselves, and which has the principle leaving no one behind at its core.
Uganda's broad growth strategy for the National Development Plan 3 for the year 2021-2025 looks at contributing 6 million jobs with an annual average of 520,000 jobs, with the majority of these jobs coming from the service sector, agriculture and the manufacturing sector. Samlanifa, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Let's now look at Tilenga's resettlement action plan so far. At a function presided over by the Minister of Energy and Mineral Development, Total Energies handed over resettlement houses to over individuals impacted by oil and gas operations in the Bulletin district. Out of 205 residential homes that were intended to be built, 105 are occupied, and however, the ministry has given anyone who has refused to accept the compensation money of the houses or up until July 31st to comply, after which the court would order for a compulsory acquisition. The Tilenga land acquisition and resettlement process is being carried out in accordance with the national and international laws, as well as the international guidelines outlined in the IFC Performance Standard 5, and in consultation and engagement with numerous stakeholders, including project communities, government organizations, and civil society organizations, among others. According to Philip Brooks, the country manager of Total Energies Uganda, the housing project being carried out by the Ugandan firms such as the Technical Masters Limited, ATX Limited, is committed to extending solar electricity to homes in line with their goal to ensure sustainable renewable energy consumption.
That we will visit is a symbolic testament of our commitment towards development of renewable energy sources.
Bakolesa amasanzi ga solar ronga kukolesa njuba oba kalioba kuona ngo tuyambiri bantu batanga ga masanyalazi.
Together with the Ministry of Energy and with Petroleum Authority of Uganda, we are working on a bigger project to provide electricity to the neighboring communities, either by grid extension and connection or by supplying autonomous additional solar home system for more than 8,000 households.
As evidenced by numerous complaints about relocating and cracked houses, some members of the host community appear to be unhappy about this. A member of parliament present stated that in order to ensure efficient operations, communication between the investor and the project-affected people needs to be streamlined.
Will be given also utensils after handing over the houses, resettlement houses. So it clearly shows they didn't meet the expectation. Whether they were promised or not, now that's another issue. But a mindset change, like moving people from where they are, because these are better accommodation from what the PAPs had before. But now communication, the way to deal with expectation of the PAPs, that is key to actualizing this project. Because she clearly said that she had protested taking up the new house. So as a member of parliament, yes, a human being will always need more. I still blame people who passed over the information to her in that. But for the issue of cracking, that is a genuine concern. You can't give a person a house and it has cracked. So because of that defect liability period, we're expecting all those anomalies to be corrected. So we are hopeful that they will correct the cracks. If there is, maybe for her, and that's a special case, maybe. So everything will be fixed.
First of all, two things brought me here in Tilenga, because Ugandan is aware that we have two areas which we are developing, one being developed by Sino in Chikumbe, on Lake Albert, and this one is in Tilenga, which is developed by Total Energies. So they have been working on houses for the project affected people. In total, Total was supposed to work on 235 houses, and as I speak now, 135 houses are done. And part we are commissioned and given away. Today we have commissioned 105 houses to the project affected.
The Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development presided over the event and encouraged the project affected persons to take advantage of this chance for a better way of life. She also issued a strong ultimatum to the 27 PAPs who are still involved in family disputes, the 6 project affected persons who are missing and have not been able to collect and sign the compensation money, warning them that the government will take their causes to court and ask the judge to issue a court order of compulsory acquisition to ensure they achieve Uganda's first oil project.
Just going to seek court's decision or authorization so that we deposit the money that the government valued in their land, so that we proceed, because the developers want to prepare the area and we want to move. And those who are away, we can't tell where they are, and in our books they are project affected people. There are 6 of them. We've made announcements, we've done everything possible, but they're not showing up. I'm also giving them last chance. End of July, we are going to seek authorization to utilize their land. We will take the government valuer's value and we shall deposit money in court. There are those who still have wrangles within the family, about 27 project affected people. They are still, oil money. They are still wrangling around.
Excuse me.
More from the Albertine region, Uganda's Tilenga project, part of the country's oil and gas development, is making significant strides towards achieving its target of first oil by August 2025. The project involves the development of 6 oil fields in Bulisa and Nyowa districts, with plans of drilling 400 oil wells and establishing a network of buried pipelines. The Minister of Energy and Mineral Development expressed confidence in the project's progress and emphasized the commitment of meeting the ambitious timeline. It's getting busier in the Albertine region, especially for the Tilenga and the Kingfisher projects. Today we just witnessed the handover of 105 houses to the project-affected persons of the Tilenga project. That of course came with the ultimatum from the Honorable Minister of up to 31st July for those people that have refused to take up the compensation money. But that's about it. Right behind me is 70% completion of works of the central processing facility, an infrastructure that is meant to process the crude from the well pads. Remember, this same central processing facility is going to be producing about 190,000 barrels of crude oil per day. Did I remind you that the 31 well pads from the Kingfisher project will be drilled from about 4 well pads, and the Tilenga project, that is a bit complex and big, will be drilled on about 31 well pads. That's about it about the progress of the oil and gas industry. In an off-camera interview, Innocent Osuna, the well pad superintendent at Total Energies EP, revealed to us that the Ngiri rig is the second to be erected for the Tilenga project. The rig is set to commence drilling operations next month and has been specifically designed to move and drill each of the 13 wells planned for the Ngiri well pad. The first oil rig at Jubilee in Maction Falls National Park is fully operational, while the arrival of the 3rd rig from Mombasa is imminent. Spudding or drilling will signify the beginning of oil production for the Tilenga project. This crucial step aims to ensure that the oil wells are prepared for production by the targeted year. The Minister of Energy has reaffirmed her commitment to achieving first oil by 2025 in light of this development.
3 rigs in the country here for Tilenga, and one which is almost completed is at Jubilee 5, which is up, and we will be seeing them, commissioned in the nearest future. The one where we are standing now, which is the Ngiri 3, is almost 85% completed, and work is going on very well. Everything is on the ground. There is nothing that they are waiting for. which is overseas. Every material is here, and I am so happy that even the central processing facility is moving on very well. Last time I came there were only trucks doing the, breading and ferrying maram from here to there. Now we are able to see road infrastructure within the central processing facility being worked on. The entire place sits on 729 acres.
The planned Tilenga industry area will feature buried pipelines and cover a minimum of 310 hectares. It will include a buffer zone for the main drainage channel and a surrounding patrol road. Additionally, the central processing facility at Tilenga will house 2 liquefied petroleum gas plants dedicated to domestic use.
So we didn't import any material, we didn't export any material. So if you see all this area all around, so this is a buffer zone, what we call the buffer zone. So we removed all the soil that is not good for construction. We kept it inside the industry area, where we're going to make the plantation and eventually the green area. And inside there's about 3 million cubic meter of soil we cut and fill, because it's like a mountain, so we have to make it flat. So we cut from the mountain, we put in the valley by layers of 30 centimeters, well compacted, well tested, ready to start the construction.
The Director of Environment at the Petroleum Authority expressed great optimism regarding the progress of the Kingfisher project, which began drilling in the previous year, and they firmly believe that once Total commences drilling in its initial well pad, Ngiri 3, the oil production will be on course.
Drilling is ongoing. The drilling of the first well to the target depth is soon being achieved. I think we are talking at about how many meters now? 2,800. 2,800 meters. And the target depth?
I think close to
3,000, about 3,000. So yes, the drilling of the first 3 wells, which has been approved, is progressing. We have the first well near completion, and then the next 2 wells will also be drilled over the next few months. In total, we have 4 well pads, and a total of about 31 wells that are going to be drilled.
As the activities in the oil sector intensify, the minister emphasized that it presents valuable opportunities for Ugandans in terms of supplying goods and services, as well as generating employment. Furthermore, the development of oil resources offers a chance to address climate change by producing LPG locally and increasing electricity supply to the nation grid, thereby contributing to sustainable development in Uganda. Away from the oil and gas industry, let's shift our focus to the agribusiness financing gap. Agri-SMEs in sub-Saharan Africa, including Uganda, are reportedly facing a $74.5 billion, or approximately 83% of the financing deficit that is according to study by the Commercial Agriculture for Smallholders and Agribusiness Program. Bankers think that the biggest problem is a lack of capacity building to get them ready to obtain funds. What should be done in that case? Pedson Mumbere reports.
Agricultural SMEs in Uganda lack access to capital needed to grow and reach their full potential. Only 6.3% of small-scale agribusiness companies have access to a loan or line of credit, as opposed to 44.1% in Kenya. Commercial investors, such as local banks, typically find it difficult to invest in the agri-sector. Only around 2% to 7% of the total bank credit in sub-Saharan Africa is allocated to agriculture. According to Ronald Kasasa, the head of business banking at DFCU Bank, the biggest problem is a lack of capacity building to get them ready to access funds.
I think the major challenge that the farmers will face today to access financing is that of capacity building. They probably do not have proper preparation to present themselves to financing institutions to be able to grant them the required financing.
Financing, the biggest problem we get is as SMEs is we do not have the collateral that they always need as banks. And then also books. You'll find they will ask you for audited books for the last 2-3 years, and we are really small. We find some of us don't have the right records, don't have them audited, don't have the systems in place, and then more so capital. We don't have a capital.
There are various issues inherent in the agri-sector, e.g. basing on rain, climate change, policy risks and costs to serve the sector that makes it difficult for commercial investors to meet their required risks versus return investments. In this case, what are the bankers doing?
We have brought on board funding schemes which grant flexibility in terms of time, which offer also flexibility in terms of pricing, but also offer flexibility in terms of the cycle, the life cycle of an agriculturalist, because different farm produce have different cycles. So we have that kind of flexibility that offers that solution that the farmers will need.
You find that most of us are using rudimentary methods. Yeah, if we were to be able to get funding that can help us use improved, improved technology that can, help us have higher production in a shorter time. Yeah, I think it would help. I can't speak for some other people. I can speak, for example, for me from beekeeping.
It is necessary to provide concessional finance if targeting SMEs in the agri sector. However, even investors offering concessional finance can find it difficult to find a suitable pipeline of investment opportunities in Uganda. On the other hand, therefore, the Agribusiness Development Center, ADC, engaged in educating agribusiness owners and their accelerator program to increase their business development and set them up for financial accessibility.
We are building their capacities in 4 areas. One is market development. As you know, that market development goes together with product development. So we're supporting them under market development. As I mentioned earlier, we're working with Export Promotion Board to support them for those who would like to later export. But of course, export can even be done internally. 2, we have access to finance program to ensure that those that are ready are prepared fully, like these ones now.
Many impact investors struggle to invest capital that they have at their disposal. Common challenges amongst their target SMEs include lack of technical and business management skills and proven businesses that are too early for investment. Pedson Mumbere, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
That story will usher us into a short break, but we will return with more. Stick around.
Smart 24, driving business.
Cooking oil like no other makes your meal so sweet and scrumptious. The taste of Uganda, yeah, the taste of Uganda.
Conductor Masao.
What? Obadde olobye ku ssimu?
Yamunange anti yo TV enkolera.
Nyumira omulembe omupya ogujjudde ebisanyusa omuli emikutu gya TV egisukka mu 8 n'egya radio nga kwotadde ne zifirimu ng'osinziirira wonna w'oli. Genda mu App Store oteeke app ya GOTV channels ku ssimu yo olwo onyumirwe ennaku 3 ng'olabira bwereere ewatali kukozesa data. GOTV channels.
Smart 24, driving business.
We're very glad that you're still tuned into Smart 24 TV and watching Business Today in particular. Now moving on, and in a swift response to concerns raised by residents and investors from the tourism sector, Kilifi County government has issued a stern warning to individuals accused of reclaiming riparian land along the coastline. The government has made it clear that owning property along the beach is strictly prohibited, and anyone found in violation will face legal consequences. This is after a section of residents and investors issued a 21-day ultimatum on grabbing of the riparian land, and Naomi Mutumba reports.
Just a day after a section of residents and investors expressed their concerns about the alleged illegal reclamation of riparian land, the county government has taken a decisive stance to protect the coastal ecosystem and safeguard the interests of the tourism industry, which plays a vital role in the local economy. The move comes amid increasing reports of encroachment and the construction of multi-billion shilling structures on these disputed pieces of land. Kilifi County, known for its pristine beaches and vibrant tourism sector, has long struggled with issues of land encroachment, jeopardizing the fragile coastal ecosystem and compromising the natural beauty that attracts visitors from around the world.
Wenzetu wamejenga majumba ya kifahari na zile barabara ambazo zinatakikana watu waende baharini.
Access to the sea or to the beach is not there, and we are actually doing mapping of beach access areas and riparian land to see where these mistakes have been done. According to multiple testimonies from residents and hoteliers, they allege that these encroachers possess title deeds that have been forged or obtained through fraudulent means. As a result, they have initiated construction activities, including erecting perimeter walls, which restrict the free movement of people towards the beach.
Wanakuja wanaangalia ile extension ya bahari, wananyakua.
They always come and look at the extension of the sea, grab it, and then they draw roads for people's farms.
Ikiwa the commissioner of lands atapeana title, mbele ya title hii.
An amazing question, the titles that were on the beach read up to the high water mark, and the commissioner of lands issues these titles. He translates them for us. What should we call them?
The governor further emphasized the need to protect the coastline as a vital natural resource and a crucial component of the region's tourism industry. He highlighted the economic significance of a thriving tourism sector and the importance of preserving the land culture and the way of life.
Kama kuna mtu yote anaweza kutumia hiyo sehemu, kutumia ile leseni inaitwa TOL.
Person cannot take the title if the water goes away. It can come back, and if someone wants to use that part, the toll license is the only one. You may be given a license by the country to use it, but you cannot build big things. The Ministry of Land has told you to look into this.
Mangrove and coconut trees along the beach have also been brought down by the developers who are planning to invest along the beach. The county government of Kilifi says they will conduct an audit of the land in a bid to tame the increase of structures on riparian land.
Peana muda wa siku 21. Tupate kauli ya Director of Survey, tupate kauli ya National Land Commission.
We are giving each other 21 days to get the statement of the Director of Survey, get the statement of the country, government and the National Land Commission. Tell us what is going on. If they are involved, we will also be involved.
Mombasa, known for its beautiful coastline and vibrant marine life, has recently witnessed a surge in construction activities along riparian areas. These areas are essential for maintaining the ecological balance and preserving the natural beauty of the region. However, the encroachment of structures on riparian land has raised alarm bells among environmentalists and concerned citizens that should be addressed effectively. Naomi Mutumba, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Away from that report from the Mombasa coastline, let's look at the SGR Resettlement Action Plan. As Uganda Railways Corporation upholds the charge for the Extended Gauge Railway Corporation, there is still tension among the project-affected persons. Chireka Market, one of the many in the project's right of way, is bound for dissolution. Currently, a new contested market is being set up amidst the detest home sections of vendors and lenders that find the pact commercially unworkable.
Despite being already behind schedule in execution of the standard gauge railway project as compared to Kenya and other East African states, Uganda Railways Corporation has registered some tangible success on land acquisition and the demolition phase. However, establishments such as Chireka Market that lie within the project's right-of-way, spanning over 20 years, is on the brink of dissolution as close to 3,000 vendors ponder their next course of trade. A new contested market, Chireka Nekolera Mali, is in the offing to pull vendor pups into a new home.
I'm the zone leader this side. We have been affected, as you can see, stalls being demolished to push us away. We don't know their next plan, as we are uncertain whether even the accorded space will be enough for the railway line. Residents and workers are afraid. They secured loans to work. Eviction means extra costs without a repayment plan. My name is Peace. I'm a clothes vendor in Chireka Market. We are stranded being pushed out of the market along the railway line. We have been promised new space, but unfortunately, it hasn't yet happened.
According to the chairperson of the newly founded market, about 2,500 vendors will be accommodated as a memorandum of understanding between the farmers, vendors, and Chirungi Business Center. The landlord is in place. From the MOU, a commitment fee of 300,000 shillings per vendor, a daily 500 shillings tax are all included. Still, it will be in effect for the next 20 years, though reviewable in the first 5 years.
This memorandum of understanding takes us within the first 5 years to review. It is reviewable in the first 5 years, but it will last like for the 20 years. Now, the landlord and us, the traders, we agreed on terms and conditions, which is the terms they are very clear. We are made to make the commitment fee of 300 each vendor who comes in here who wants a stall in this place.
Chireka Municipal Mayor Julius Mutebi, while at an eviction and stalling compensation standoff at Chireka Railway, expressed dissatisfaction over the compensation crisis by URC and shed light on the new market development meant to take over the reins of the primary market, calling it illegitimate and unwelcome in contrast to the new market's management.
Now in this space we have 2.5 acres, which is seated in a proper place, not working under the Union Reserve. Everyone is comfort where is going to sit. So in that case, we are encouraging each and every vendor to come and join us, because this place, it can accommodate like 2,500 vendors.
That there's a development which is right opposite, that they could go and work in there. But the fact of the matter is that we have tried to work with that entity before across. We wanted to put up a park, a community park, a community parking park, but we failed because that due diligence that we have done so far indicates that that man owes a lot. The owner of that property owes a lot of money to the banks, and their title has been confiscated.
URC earlier on expressed commitment to the SGR cause, advising encroachers to evict as soon as possible. During interaction with the spokesperson, Lennon Sengendo, project concerns were primarily attracted to land acquisition, as he highlighted a rigid land policy. Still, eviction of encroachers from reserves was bound to happen in attempt to enforce key components such as the park and ride for commuters.
You need the permanent way, that line.
Currently, wherever the line used not to pass, it is challenging to actually have the line there, because the land laws in Uganda haven't allowed for government infrastructure to happen without so much compensation.
So far, 81.9 hectares of right-of-way land have been acquired for the Eastern Route and 61 kilometers of demolition done. 83 kilometers of the Kampala-Malaba line have been maintained. This, however, contrasts with the compensation crisis as project-affected persons demand for fair reparation for damaged property despite prior proper acquisition of land from former URC leadership. Ivan Tivenkana, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Now, the Uganda Tourism Board has started training journalists in tourism inventive writing in an effort to increase their capacity to promote Uganda's tourism industry. A 4-day interaction with the tourism and travel journalists in Uganda began yesterday at Cephas Inn in Kabaale. The goal of the refresher training and field trip to some tourist attractions in the Kigezi sub-region is to give journalists better tools for promoting Uganda's tourism potential.
The purpose of media training, according to Gesa Simplicius, head of public relations at Uganda Tourism Board, is to provide journalists with practical skills so that they can promote the variety of tourist attractions in Uganda. Gesa continues by saying that the first training was held in Kabaale district of the Kigezi region because of its abundance in tourism attractions.
Here to do a media training, basically to interface and give value addition knowledge to our journalists with practical work. Look at what you look at for purposes of being innovative. What type of stories are you creating? How do you angle the different aspects of richness? Because Uganda, we have been known to have a lot that everywhere you tip and scratch is something to see.
Gesa also adds that with such training, they are focusing on giving better exposure to tourism features in different regions through media.
Every day is a learning experience for our team. So we want to give them a platform to have even better exposure so that when they talk about Bunyonyi, they will not mistake it for Lake Mutanda just because the two are close by and in the same region. When they talk about Kabaale, they shouldn't forget that Kabaale is just close to Kisoro, and Kisoro holds mountain Muhabura, it has Sabinyo, it has that gorge. Yeah? So our coming here is to give them a hand.
Journalist John Baptist Simokora claims that given the country's expanding tourism industry, such training should have begun years ago. Imokora says that such training offers a chance to exchange tourism-related experiences with a goal of enhancing the industry.
Yeah, so as part of this training, starting from the Kigezi region, we are saying, can we come together as media people and have some form of reflection? Ask ourselves, what have we done well, what haven't we done well, so that we can close the gap. So we are sharing experiences, we are helping one another to improve and to ask themselves where they can do things better. Now, in terms of what we expect this to achieve, I don't expect that things will change overnight. I don't expect things to change in one day or with one training. So I think that this is a starting point, this is a stepping stone for all of us. So for the Uganda Tourism Board and other agencies, we are saying let's start from here, but can we have more interactions? Otherwise, just meeting for a day or two and talking about.
Journalists in the tourism and travel reporting field welcome the engagement with Uganda Tourism Board, saying that such will assist them in writing and creating stories in line with tourism. Tourism numbers are increasing steadily and are now expected to at 1.5 million annually, at 7.7% of the national GDP.
To other countries outside of Uganda, you realize how these other countries and their tourism sectors are performing. They are actually very aggressive when it comes not only to marketing their tourism products and potential, but also aggressively protecting the sector itself. You know, they try as much as possible to fight every negative story when it comes to their countries because they're promoting tourism. Just look at Kenya here. Not only the budgets that they're having, but also there is a way they protect whatever is happening, the negative bit of it, in case it's going to scare away tourists. And there's a special way they always handle their tourists, you know, so that these people are able to come. I think those are some of the ways they managed to multiply the number.
Kabale district is well known for being in the middle of many major tourist destinations in Uganda, such as Lake Bunyonyi, the second deepest lake in Africa. It also serves as the layover point for travelers heading to Bindi Impenetrable Forest, a popular location for mountain gorilla trekking. Noban Diamhachi, Masi Katsime, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Now, the private sector's concerns over proposed tax increments in East Africa ahead of the upcoming financial year 2023-2024 budget have rose conflict. The lack of harmonization in tax policies across partner states has become a growing concern for businesses in the region.
East Africa's private sector has joined the discussion about the budget proposals from partner states that include uncoordinated tax increases. Businesses are concerned about the potential high cost of doing businesses and its effects on cross-border trade because taxes differ among nations. The lack of coordination in value-added tax policies is among the main issues. While the rate of income tax is the same in all of Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania and Rwanda, 30%, the application of the value-added tax rates varies. Businesses that operate internationally have difficulties as a result of this mismatch because they must negotiate various tax structures. Of particular concern is Kenya's proposal to tax digital assets as part of its finance bill for 2023. This move aims to regulate and tax transactions involving cryptocurrencies and non-tangible tokens. However, businesses and investors are worried that compliance with the new tax framework may increase administrative burdens, requiring investments in technology, accounting systems, and professional services. Another worry for the business community is the proposed increase in the value-added tax on petroleum products. This move is likely to have a cascading effects on transportation and the production of goods, leading to the increased inflationary pressures in the economy. The repeal on the 8% value-added tax rate on petroleum goods, replacing it with 16% value-added tax on fuel and eliminating value-added tax exemption on liquefied petroleum gas is expected to significantly impact the cost of living. This is especially concerning Kenya's dependence on fossil fuels and the already high global oil prices. The private sector in East Africa urges governments in the region to address these concerns and work towards harmonizing tax policies. Businesses believe that more streamlined and constant tax framework will facilitate trade, boost investment, and ultimately contribute to the economic growth of the entire region.
We've now come close to the end of Business Today. I thank you for the pleasure of your time. But before we close up, here's a quick look at what made the top stories. In Business Today, Bank of Uganda has maintained the central bank rate at 10%. Government has been cautioned over taxing the employees' salaries. And Tilenga, the major oil project, advances towards the August 2025 first oil target. And that's pretty it what we have for you today on Business Today. Thank you for being such a good audience. I'm Ronah Nahabwe together with Winnie Wins and Naka to understand language interpretation. I would like to implore you to watch on our YouTube channel if you missed any of these stories or if you would like to be up to date with the business stories within the good audience and the pleasure of your time. You have a good evening.